All right, hi everyone, and welcome to another session of Ask Demandforce. Today we're going to be talking about 10 unexpected ways to delight your customers. We have a lot of information lined up today, and we're super excited to share that with you. We have a great panel of experts, and before I introduce them, I just want to give a quick plug. If you have any questions at all, go ahead and reply to the post at http://bit.ly/AskDFDelight or tweet Ask Demandforce or Ask DF. And we'll go ahead and get those questions to our experts. And hopefully today we'll be learning a lot of information together. So without further ado, here's our panel, and I'll let them go ahead and introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. My name is Aliza Carpio, and I'm a technology evangelist in the TurboTax engineering group at Intuit. But for the last 3.5 years, I've also been doing pro bono work for small businesses, actually micro businesses, here in San Diego, and helping them really understand what they could do with social media to grow their business, with the key principles that it's got to be low effort and low amount of time.
And my name is Anthony Dell. I'm a success manager here at Demandforce. We basically reach out to small businesses and help them, soup up their account, get some better results, get some more reviews, get some campaigns built, that sort of thing. So we do that sort of thing every single day. Exactly. With a barrage of industries and different types of business. So.
Right. My name is Sareena Hirani. I work with Anthony. So like he said, we're basically like business coaches, and we help our clients use Demandforce as a tool and just help grow their business, increase their online reputation, and just find creative and innovative ways to communicate with their customers.
Great. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on our tips for today. Lisa, why don't you take it away?
Sure. We are going to have a little bit of presentation, but it's really a lot of information that potentially could really help all of you. So we'll start with the first slide. And that is, we'll start with the first tip. And again, I'm going to be coming more from the kind of pro bono work that I've been doing with small or micro businesses here in San Diego. And let me just make sure that everyone understands what I mean by that. It's really the 1 to 2 person shop. All of the businesses I'm going to be talking about or referring to have a brick and mortar place. They're either retailers, spas, or they provide, or they're small cafes. So the first tip that I have, and this is something that always kind of scares people a little bit, is to be present on social media. And the biggest thing that I have learned in working with small businesses, especially those that's the 1 to 2 person shop, is that it has to be something that they can fit in their day, knowing that they're the same people that stock the shelves, that wipe the counters down, that manage the books, or take out the garbage. And so they really wanted to find ways with some really strategies what they could do for either on Facebook or Twitter or wherever that can really get engagement, high engagement from their current customers and potentially acquire customers. Let's go ahead and go to the first slide. One of the things that people always ask me, and I think we're missing Twitter here, the Twitter logo, is that Facebook and Twitter, I always get asked, which ones do you prefer or which ones do you think we should be in? And Facebook and Twitter still reign as kings. Many people, whether it's in the United States or outside the United States, are definitely on these 2 platforms, whether you're a small business or someone who is looking for things or branded stuff, right? And so one of the things that I always mention to folks that I recently learned from my partnership with Facebook a couple of years ago was that 54% of Facebook customers or folks with a Facebook account never turn it off. It's always running in the background. And so as you engage with your customers, that's definitely still a big platform. I know I've gotten questions around articles around this also where they say, oh, well, Facebook seems like they're dropping off in the number of people that are signing up. There's definitely some of that, but I also know that Facebook has been doing some work in cracking down on fake accounts, and so that's probably where some of those numbers are. I would definitely recommend those 2 or one of those 2, so Facebook or Twitter. In terms of other platforms, because I am being asked recently on what are some of the other ones that I would recommend for micro businesses or small businesses, well, I actually say it depends. For those that have retail, especially those that have, awesome color like clothes or makeup or something, or art supplies, something with a lot of color that you can present well, Pinterest and Instagram are awesome for that. And people definitely use the hashtags and definitely get engaged that way. The other sorts of folks that really do well in this space has to do with food. I recently worked with the Trinidad Bay B&B on some tips around this because they make the most absolute awesome breakfast, and they started just creating an Instagram page of all the different breakfasts that they provide. And then lastly, I would say for both Pinterest and Instagram, food trucks are doing a really doing a good job of showcasing the food that they serve. I know my husband and I follow a food truck via Twitter, but then we look at their food via Pinterest as well as Instagram. The other thing that I do want to say is, as you, I know there's another picture that isn't showing up here, but if you do decide to go with one or more than one social platform, I would suggest that you connect what it is that you say so that it looks like you have the same personality. Meaning, like, if you do something on Facebook, and you say that you're going to use Twitter, try to like do something similar or the same post there as well. Anthony or Sareena, anything to add on tip 1?
I agree with posting, the same content on both Facebook and Twitter. Personally, I'm a Facebook user, so if there's great stuff that's being posted on Twitter, I would miss out on that. So just make sure that you're reaching your customers on the media that they're most, they're using most often. So yeah, really like that tip.
I agree. I'm not on Twitter, so yeah, Facebook and Instagram are the ones I use, but same idea. So if you have customers of yours that are only a part of one community, you don't want them left out of a special or a promotion or something like that where you might post.
Exactly.
Great. Thanks, you guys. So let's go ahead and go to number 2. So still sticking with the same theme, here's some best practices, and these actually, just to be honest, and we'll go to the next slide, have been lessons learned for me and for the businesses that I helped or help or continue to help in the area of social media and social media strategies. The great habit here, and I've gotten some of this also just from reading different things on TechCrunch and Mashable, but what I have learned and what works best is that you do not need to post more than once a day, although you might have some really exciting things to share. Try to not overdo it. I love you, but at the same time, you don't want to look like a stalker by having a bunch of things. And then you also don't want to seem anemic, meaning try to post something at least once a week. If you start this is about an engagement. So try not to be that person or that business that comes in and then we don't hear from you for a couple of months. So definitely people love to engage, but try to have them at least once a week or no more than a day. I did have one client, and this is where number 2 comes in, and stay authentic is huge. I did have one client that just decided to abandon their newsletter. She was outsourcing that and then got her sister to be the voice on Facebook. And what started to happen was I asked her one day to look at her wall, her Facebook wall, between the time that she was the one posting it and her sister was posting the content. And man, the personality changed. And her sister is awesome, but it definitely sounded like a different person started talking or started posting. So try not to outsource the one true thing, which is your voice and your personality. The third thing here is around faces and people. The essential thing around social for many businesses is the reason why you're there is to help, to provide visibility, and really people love to see faces. So I would say, whether it's in best practice, different talks that I've given, or in the lessons learned I've had with small businesses, people faces videos work the best in terms of engagement. People love to comment on those. They love to share it. And that's really key in terms of acquiring new customers or getting visibility. The fourth one, and I know, I'm sorry if I'm going a little fast on this, is align your content or what it is you're trying to say to who you really are and the message about your about your company or about your business. So one of my friends who is now actually a client of mine, owns a spa. She's an esthetician, and she and two other people are part of the spa, but she is the owner. And one of the things that she has learned is that she is all about health within and outside. So it's one thing to put skincare products on inside on top of your skin, but it's another to really, get the right foods in there. And so she's all about always helping. And so as you think about, what messages do you want? Think about like what it is you're trying to say and align to the kinds of things that you really are trying to deliver for your business. But also don't forget personality. It's also about fun. People love seeing fun stuff. I know, I think one of the posts, again, my same friend that got the highest number of posts was how not only was she trying to feed her family really healthy stuff for their skin and for their overall health, but she took a picture of her bulldog who's also on like a no grain food, and so everyone just of course loved that because it was like she was really trying to show the fact that not only is she part of this business, but she's got this family, and her values definitely show throughout that. And then again, something I just mentioned in the last one, videos, pictures of people definitely get the highest engagement. So try to, if you are just going to have words, try to not have it all just be text on your Facebook wall. People love pictures. They just resonate better. Sareena, Anthony, anything to add?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's always okay to ask your customers for engagement online. If you share a story, I had an auto body shop that I worked with, and they were talking about the hazards of changing your tire on the side of the road, and the worst possible conditions in which you can get a flat tire. But at the end of the post, they said, let us know your worst experience, because that starts a conversation, and people start posting, people start commenting, people start liking, and one simple post can spread like wildfire there. So. I think a great way of thinking about the process is that 10 people will like one post, and those 10 people each have 200 friends. So those 10 likes actually can turn into a potential 2,000 views, given time and that growth on Facebook. So a lot of these posts can go a long ways with a very little bit of effort. But crafting a good message and then asking for feedback, I think, is a great way to go about that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Include that call to action. Whatever you want them to do, whether it's sharing it or posting feedback or asking their own questions, that's a great thing to include in the post. And Aliza, I also really like what you said about, watching how much you post and how often, because I'm the type of person that, I'll love a business, I'll love the page, I'll like it, and then all of a sudden it's just dominating my news feed, and I have to unlike it. If you're a business and you want followers and you want to keep those followers, just be aware of what you're putting out there. You wouldn't want, one person posting 10 things and that's all you see when you log in. Don't give that to your customers. So, yeah.
And then just to add on something that Anthony also mentioned, I know that I had a client that basically asked me, where do I start? And one of the things that we did was to just do a poll to ask people, what do you want to see here? So you could do a poll on Facebook, definitely to start things if you just didn't know where to start. So that was a good ad. Thank you. Thanks both. Let's go ahead and go to tip number 3. And there was something about, it was kind of funny because before I became a tech evangelist, so the next tip is around aligning to values. I was in social media for TurboTax, so I was the person that you would probably see if you ever tweeted or went to Facebook and was signed AC, so that's my initials. And one of the things that I learned from TurboTax, which I ended up bringing to my pro bono work, was around values. And if you could go to the next slide. I was in a study for about a year studying across the country why people were loyal to brands. And there was something that specifically stuck out at me, which was around how our study showed that within the top 5 reasons why people stayed with a brand was how what they value is also what I value, and which ends up personalizing the brand. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples. I don't know if you have a Buffalo Exchange, which is the one down on the bottom right. If you have a Buffalo Exchange, which is like a vintage store where you could, sell your stuff, and then it's just resale for clothes and bags and shoes. If if you don't get a bag or if you don't ask for a bag, they give you a token, and they show on their, they have usually three charities that they support, usually something around animals, usually something with the homeless population, something around literacy, and you can put these tokens towards that, and it really shows that they really are about not only about doing good with the earth, with the whole resale business, but they're also trying to go beyond that border and give back to the community in this way. The second one is this thing on the top here, top corner. This is actually a boutique, and there are two boutiques. It's the husband runs a shop called With Love, and then across the street, the wife runs a store called Le Bellage. And what they, every year, twice a year, they work with the Princess Project. And this is where they have become a drop-off center twice a year for gently used or new prom dresses for young women who don't have the money to buy a prom dress. And twice a year, they rent out, along with other businesses, a big warehouse where young women and their moms come in to try dresses. And it's all for free. And what I love about that is every time they post about it, not only do they get a ton of people coming in to drop off stuff, and then they get visibility to their business, but it probably has the most number of comments every time they do it. And then the last thing I have here is this one around inspiration from Intuit's TurboTax. You know, we are definitely want to support our military families, the military, and again, kind of goes back to the values of the brand. Anthony, Sareena, would you guys like to add anything on this one?
Yeah, we actually have one that we use quite a bit with our success calls, and it generally revolves around the medical industry. With incentive programs, it's really difficult to not violate HIPAA regulations, and in Canada, it's kind of across the board where you can't entice people to come to your practice by giving them something. So what we've done is we actually use a donation program where if you do a referral and that referral comes in, we'll donate $10 in your name to the charity of your choice. And the nice thing with that is it actually plays back into social media because, you know, after 6 months of your referral program, you can say, hey, thank you everyone for your help with the referral program. Together we've raised over $200 for Toys for Tots or for this specific animal shelter. So you could keep it local with maybe like a local cause, or you could go, you know, bigger with that. But it's a nice workaround, and like it does stick with your values. If your values are, you know, helping with the community or just giving back to nonprofits, and it's a great workaround for incentives where you may not want to discount a service that you provide or a product that you sell. It kind of works around that, but still gets that drive in there for, you know, you to come in as a new customer or for, you know, an existing customer to do a referral.
I love that one.
That's it for that example.
All right, so why don't we go ahead and take it into tip number 4. So Anthony, take us away.
All right, perfect. So step number 4 here is treat your customers like VIPs. So when I picture this, it's like rolling out the red carpet. Make their experience just exceptional, above and beyond. The way I like to picture this is, you know, when you're booked on a flight and, you know, it's packed, sold out, you know, and you're in one of those economy seats, you're going to be crammed between 2 people in a middle seat, you know, you're not really looking forward to it. Then all of a sudden, your ticket is selected to be upgraded to first class. Like that feeling you get when that happens is amazing. And you kind of want your customers to feel that way, you know, not only when they're walking into your practice, but when they're leaving, or even while they're there during the whole time there. So I think that overall that's the takeaway that you want your customers to have there. The first way we can do this is, you know, doing special treats or giving away special treats. We can do this, maybe like a seasonal example would be, you know, maybe summertime we could have maybe like a pump for sunscreen. Something like that would be nice if you had kids that came in and out of your business. You know, the parents could make sure that they're well sunscreened, or just anybody in general. And it's nice to think above and beyond, you know, the needs of the customer outside of your place of work. Another great one that I've seen used in the past was for kids is just little, you know, inexpensive sunglasses that maybe during the summertime you could hand those out for kids of maybe parents, or if you actually are like a dentist that takes care of kids, you could actually focus on just your clientele that way. And, you know, it's good for their health. It's a great thing because they get that thing to take home with them. They get to have that warm, fuzzy feeling of getting a free gift. I think that's kind of a nice thing. During cold season, which we're kind of in right now, you know, it'd be nice maybe to switch up the candy bowl with a bowl of cough drops. So when people come in and they have a scratchy throat, that'll make them feel better. So little things like that, having tissues, maybe having hand sanitizer, they're all very inexpensive ways, and it's kind of changing things up, according to the season. Something really simple, even it could be like having some water out. Water in cups is a very simple thing, and that could be like a little treat that could be there on a hot summer day. It can make you feel better. Do you have another example of this that would work for that, Sareena? Or
I mean, I love things like that. I know you were talking about an example earlier with the auto shop. Was that your friend of yours?
Yeah.
That was a really good one.
Yeah, so with that one, it was actually during the month of February. It was an auto body shop, and what they did is they would actually buy a couple dozen roses at Costco at the beginning of each week, which I think cost somewhere between $10 and $20. But when anybody came in to get serviced, they would actually give a rose away to that gentleman or lady that came in, and they could actually take that home and give that to their significant other, or they could keep it for themselves. They found they just loved it. Like, customers were asking about the February special before it even happened the next year. So it's something that shop owner has been doing for a long time and has found some great value in doing that. I thought that was a great idea and very seasonal. Worked for the month of February, and I thought that was a great way to treat your customers and make them feel special.
So easy to do, and the fact that customers were remembering that months and like a year later is huge. It's you're building that recognition in their head, and they love associating with the flowers. So it's nice.
Mm-hmm. The next way we can treat our customers like VIPs is to remember the little things. It could be as small as a birthday, and there's some systems like the Demandforce system that actually has reminders that go out for those situations. But there's also major events. There might be like Christmas. There's the holiday season. You have Mother's Day, Father's Day. Those are all real nice things. If your customers have children, that their parents, if they're mothers themselves, those are some great ways to reach out and show that you do remember, you do care. And I think that that's a great situation there, and that does make them feel good. It does make them feel important when you are remembering those special occasions. Another way to kind of focus on that would be to maybe focus on their kids. There's a lot of dental practices that I've heard that have a lot of issues with standardized testings that come up. So there's like a 2-week period where kids can't leave school early. They have to stay in school. That also goes with summer breaks, spring breaks, Christmas breaks. A lot of parents may not even think that, hey, during the next 2 weeks, we're probably going to have a very low or very high no-show rate because, kids are going to be out of town for spring break, or they have standardized testing for the next week. So little things like that you remember, or if you look into your local community's school calendar and see what's going on in your community, can really help out. And no-show rates can be really damaging because you're losing revenue, and you have appointments where people aren't showing up, and if a lot of that goes on during a week or two, that could really damage your income over the month. So just kind of thinking of those things in advance can kind of circumvent some issues, and overall I think it's a really nice thing and a nice touch as a business to remember those sorts of things and how it can apply to your customer's life and little things that they may need to do to make their visit to your practice or your business actually occur. So I think that's a really nice way to do that there. Have you guys had a situation like that you've come across before? Or?
I know personally, I get an email from Sephora every month or every birthday month, and I get a special gift from them if I place an order during my birthday month. And so pretty sure the only time I place an order is in February, and I get my free gift every year. So I'm guaranteed purchase for them in February. But they've hooked me that way, and I really appreciate the fact that I get that birthday email because it reminds me to place that order and get my makeup for the year. So things like that are really great. I love, when businesses remember the little things. It means a lot.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. The next way we can treat our customers like VIPs is by providing free samples. And this works in a few areas. I think that like in tanning salons or in like a hair salon, not because of my use of a hair salon, but just from what I've heard and what I've worked with before.
He gives me his samples.
Yeah, I give her my samples. The idea, though, is like you go into a tanning salon, and they have these bottles of like $70, $80, $90 bottles for lotion to amplify the tan. And like being a man, I probably wouldn't go out on a limb and spend that much money, and I have fair skin. But before vacations, I do like to try tanning a little bit so I don't get sunburned. But the last time I went in, they gave me a little sample of like a $100 product. They put it in a little cup, and I brought it in with me and used it, and it worked really well. And I ended up chipping in. Me and a friend ended up chipping in and buying one of the bottles, and we used that the entire time we tanned there. But I mean, aside from that, I probably would have never done that. So I got a little sample, and then it ended up turning into revenue in the long run for that business. And I think that was great for them. them, and it was great for me because I would have never used it or even tried it had I not had the sample. The same goes to hair salons, and I think that would work really well too, is where you might use a really nice product on someone getting their hair done, and if someone got their hair dyed for the first time and they need color sensitive product, that would be a great time to use a really good one. Shampoo, conditioner, let them try it out, see if they like it, and that would be a great way to maybe hand out some samples for that, let them use it, see if they like it. It might turn into a sale next time they come in, and if they get stuck on that product, it could be a repeat sale over and over again every time they come in. So a little sample can go a long ways, and I think that that's a great way to make them feel special. They're trying out something expensive that they may not do any other way. So I think that's kind of a cool thing there. Aliza, have you ever seen or had samples or gotten samples before where you thought that was a nice way of making you feel good?
Yes, both in the mail. I recently got something actually from Bloomingdale's that they were starting their own stationery line, and I actually got them in with my initials and wanted to see if they.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was in this package that looked like it was chocolate, but then I opened it up and it was personalized stationery. That was just a couple of weeks ago. But something that it's not necessarily about samples, but something that I know one of the businesses, which is a small gallery that I work with, what they do in terms of the whole VIP feeling and the red carpet you spoke about earlier, Anthony, is that before they let the press know that they've got new designers in or new artists into their studio or gallery, is that they first post the event and get people to come to their event first on Facebook, and it's to their fans first. They always say, just for you, giving you guys a chance to be a part of this before we blast it out to the whole world. So just making them feel like, man, I was there behind the that velvet rope first is another way, and it costs nothing, but they just created an event on Facebook.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
That,
yeah. Mm-hmm. It does. You're pre-register for this event before it goes public. That does seem exclusive. That does seem like a nice way to make someone feel special. The last one for the last part of this topic here is going to be Customer Appreciation Day. I've seen this work in a lot of different ways. I think the most inexpensive one would be probably to, if you were having a new location open, a new business, a new practice, having a little cocktail hour where you could go to Trader Joe's, which is a local grocery store where you can buy some $2 chuck wine, a case of wine for $24. You can buy some plastic cups, maybe do some little simple hors d'oeuvres. The idea is to bring people into your new place, let them check it out. Maybe do some tours, the front end and the back end of the office, so they can kind of see the full spectrum there. It's kind of a nice thing to give a little bit away, and in that situation would cost very, very little, and your customers might be like, wow, that was awesome. Not a lot of dentist offices or salons would do that sort of thing, but if you were the one that did that, I think that would be a great way to get in touch with your customer and make them feel special. And like Aliza, like you were saying, maybe only open that up to your Facebook followers. Say, hey, this is exclusive for all the people that follow us on Facebook. We have this special event for the new location that we're opening. So little things like that I think could be cool there.
I love that also, because if you're saying that there's free wine or hors d'oeuvres or whatever it is that you're doing, people don't like to attend events like this alone. They're going to bring friends that are potential referrals for your business. So you're not only appreciating your customers and having a fun event with them, but then you're also growing your business by getting new customers through referrals. So definitely an awesome idea.
Exactly. And I had another example which I thought was great. This is by a dental practice I worked with a few months ago, and what they did is it was a customer appreciation day, but it was a picnic, a picnic hosted by the dental office. And it was actually pretty funny because he's like, it actually was so successful that it was almost bad because they invited 100 people, and like Sareena said, they weren't even thinking about the fact of them bringing family members and friends. So this 100-person invite for this picnic that they provided food and drinks and games for blew up into a 300-person event. And so they ran out of food, they ran out of drinks, but it really didn't matter too much because they all had such a great time. The family and the friends, it turned into referrals, it turned into new business. But I mean, I think more importantly is that they just felt appreciated as customers by going and visiting a specific practice. Like they were in this little small community of that dentist, and I think that's a nice thing to do. I mean, I've never had that experience, but if I did, I think that would make me a lifelong customer. And so little things like that can go such a long ways. And even in that situation where you would be spending a little bit more money, I think the long run payoff would be so much more beneficial.
Yeah.
If we can, let's move on to the next topic. That's going to be the 5th tip, and that's going to be make your customers feel at home. And with this, I kind of like to think of, making their wait time while they're there, whether it's they're in a waiting room, whether they're waiting in line to be serviced, like whatever it may be, make it as comfortable as possible, so it doesn't really seem as if it's that bad of a wait. I think that this can be, most easily done by just being polite, maybe greeting people when they come in the door, walking them to the door on the way out. I had an auto body shop that they would walk me to my car and then open the door for me. And I think little things like that can go a real long way. And I think that's really nice. If you've ever been to a Japanese restaurant, and this is my favorite Japanese restaurant, it's very traditional, and so I always love that when I walk in, every employee of the restaurant stops, turns towards the door, and says "Irashaimase," which is welcome in Japanese, but it just makes you feel special. Everyone in the restaurant turns and looks at you like, oh wow, you just came in and you're a new customer. But all the cooks, all the sushi chefs, all the restaurant servers, anybody there that works there is all turning and greeting you as you come in. But it really does make you feel special, even if it's for a split second. And it does, it feels good. It feels nice.
And it teaches you a new language.
Yeah, and you learn a new language too. So there are some nice ways to do that. One of them would be provide simple and easy refreshments. I know I touched on the water before. I think that's a great thing to do. A lot of times, even if it's not summer, it's wintertime, having water and cups out can be so simple. But I can't even count how many places I've been where there's literally nothing. There's a waiting room that's empty. There's no bathroom that's available that looks like it's available. There's nothing to drink. There's nothing to snack on. There's no entertainment. Little things like that can go a long way. So I think water would be a super easy and inexpensive way to make someone feel as if they're at home a little bit more. Another one would be an auto body shop that I actually visited a few months ago on a Saturday, and a lot of people don't like getting up early on Saturday. They don't want to be sitting in an auto body shop while they get work done for hours and hours. Would you?
No.
Okay. So I get there bright and early so I can get my car in, at least first in line or close to that. But I go into their waiting area and they have a full continental breakfast. They have danishes, they have bagels, they have coffee, they have tea, they have fruit. They have a full basically breakfast for anybody that comes in. And I thought that was the nicest thing to do. When I'm spending my day off of work, going in to get some chores done, or some things I need to get done, I get treated for that a little bit. And it does make me feel at home when there is something there to eat, or something for me to drink. And then first thing in the morning, I didn't have anything. I literally just got in my car and drove straight there. So I was kind of stuck at the shop, and I did have some options, and I thought that was an awesome thing to do. And it makes me, and I believe everybody else there, a lot less irritable. When people are coming in and waiting for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, that passes the time and does help out quite a bit. The next way, or next example I want to go over here for making someone feel at home would be entertainment. Now this can be, as simple as having reading stuff in the office. We've all been to doctors' offices, dentist offices that have magazines. But I do think that it is important that you don't have 4-year-old subscriptions that look like they've been run over by a bus.
Yeah.
You do want to keep them nicer, newer. People want to pick up a magazine that looks new, but if it's all tattered and falling apart, they may not even want to touch it. I've seen some practices that actually use their scrap paper from the office, and they'll actually turn it over, so you have basically blank sheets of paper, and they'll quarter it and staple it, and then have little drawing pages for kids that come in. So they could do markers, pens, and pencils with some scrap paper, and that will keep kids entertained. I think something like that can be very inexpensive, and is also a nice way to use garbage or something that may be determined as trash, and reuse that within the office. And people may like that as well. Another great thing that I love about my personal dentist, and it's not that there's a lot of dentists in this office. They do have a lot of operatories, but she's just a one woman shop, so she handles all the clients herself. But they have a lot of operatories, and I think the neatest thing about that is that they immediately get you into the operatory, within 5 minutes or so, 5 or 10 minutes of your appointment. And I may wait there for 20 or 30 minutes before I'm actually seen, but they have a TV in every single room with a remote that is attached to Netflix. So I can sit there and watch the most recent show that I missed. I can watch a movie. I can pretty much do anything. But when I'm sitting there in front of a TV with the remote control, it literally makes me feel like I'm on the couch at home. And the time can fly by that way. It doesn't seem like I'm sitting here staring at my watch, what's taking so long? What's going on here? Why haven't I been seen yet? I usually can just sit back and relax and watch a TV show. And I think that's a nice thing there. Another thing you can do is offering simple amenities. When people are out and about throughout the day, they may not have the opportunity to keep their phones charged or their tablets charged. So having universal chargers in your office, like extra ones like floating around for some of the customers that come in, and maybe an outlet they could plug into, could be something super easy, but could be like a really awesome thing to do. I think that would be so nice if I was out and about all day and I got to a place where I had to get my teeth cleaned or something, and I could get my phone charged. Then it won't prevent me from using my phone. So that phone can be a source of entertainment, but I may not use it if it doesn't have enough battery life. So that could be like a quick fix there, where you don't have to do too much, and that does give that customer or patient some type of entertainment while they're there in the office. Another one that is done by a lot of coffee shops, and more businesses are doing this now, is free Wi-Fi. So same kind of idea there, where I could sit there on my phone and use your Wi-Fi, or sit there on my laptop and use your Wi-Fi. I don't have to eat into my own personal data. I don't have to eat into my own personal minutes and that sort of your guys' Wi-Fi for myself, and that can be a super easy way to offer a little bit more and give some amenities that make someone feel at home when they're there. If we can, let's jump on to the sixth tip. And
so
what that one is
really quick, before we move on to a sixth tip. No worries. Just a quick plug. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to tweet AskDF. We have a lot of information here. I know there's a lot of tips that our experts are sharing. So if you have any questions at all, go ahead and tweet or post, and we'll be sure to get those answered. And now we'll move on to tip number 6.
All right, so support local community and businesses. This is a really great one, I think. Most offices or businesses that we deal with are in sometimes they are in rural areas, sometimes you're in bigger cities, but even in a big city, like, you have your local community that's around you. I think that there's a lot of nice things you can do, and most of these examples are very, very inexpensive. One of them would be to have a community board. So you could list, like, local happenings, local events, local things like that could help out. Maybe if one of your customers or even like a neighbor down the street lost a dog, they could post like a lost dog, sheet in your office on your community board, and little things like that. It kind of makes them feel more warm and invited, and not so like a sterile, impersonal environment. Like you may get that gist from like a doctor's office or a dentist office, but having little things like a community board could kind of like break down that barrier and make it seem more inviting to come in, and that we are a part of the community. We're not just a business here. We want to be integrated into like your life and the surrounding area. So I think that's kind of a cool thing to do, and I've seen it done really well, and people can post things that are related to them, events, like I said before, and I think that those things can be very nice if shared with your practice or your business in that area. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. One thing to add to that, I mean, it's a really simple thing, but like having your name or having your picture or your sports team represented on a community board, even if it's just at your local dentist, it makes you feel like a celebrity. Like, in however small of a way, it's a really good feeling that people like to talk about. So it's just a really great thing to do. And again, touching on your point about making your customers feel like VIPs, you're doing exactly that. You're making them a celebrity in your place of business, and it's just an awesome idea. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another nice thing I thought, kind of along the same lines as the community board, is other local people that live in the area that might be customers of your business. Maybe hosting a little area where they could put their own business cards. I went into my dentist here, I think it was about a year ago, and she asked me, like, hey, do you have any friends or family that live in the area that would love to come in? And I was like, yeah, I'll let them know. And so I literally told a friend of mine that lived down the street, who is a lawyer, she owns her own practice, about the dentist office, and she actually needed to go see a dentist, which it all worked out pretty well. But my next visit, I go in there, and I saw my friend who's the lawyer, I saw her business card and the little business card stand, and I thought that was a nice thing there. Like, they both run small businesses, they're non-competing, they are advertising for each other in essence, and I thought that was a nice thing. And when I went back and actually talked to my friend about it, she said, yeah, it's actually really nice. The doctor actually gave me some business cards from her practice, and I actually have those in my office on my desk. So it worked both ways. So a little thing like that where you can help out other, small businesses in your area or other, customers of yours that run small businesses, that is such a nice thing. And, when it's within the community, it kind of makes you guys a little bit more tight-knit. It works really well for that. Another one that I've seen quite a bit are like auto body shops that host little league teams, like for baseball or basketball, girls, boys, it doesn't really matter. But I think little things like that are nice as well. You're supporting your local community. You're putting a little bit of money into sports teams. It's good for scholastic or other extracurricular activities for children in the area. They may be a part of your practice. So like if you're hosting a little league team and some of the kids on the team are actually part of your practice, it all goes around in a big circle. And I think that that's a really nice thing that you can do, and it really does solidify your relationship with those in your community and makes you more of a part of that community there. Another nice one that we've seen quite a bit too, and we always recommend this within Demandforce, is cross-marketing with other businesses that are around. There's lots of small businesses, and I would generally focus on non-competing businesses usually. But there's a really cool idea that we came across here a few months ago with an auto body shop that had like a runaround car. And what they were doing is, rather than having people just sit in their office and wait, and that could be 30 minutes, it could be 3 or 4 hours. They set up deals with local businesses, and they would actually take the runaround car and go drop them off at these other businesses. So one of them was working with a hair salon and a nail salon, and so for women that came in, or men that came in to get their car serviced, they could literally have that runaround car go drop them off at this other business. And the nice thing about this is that they actually used each other's databases to advertise these deals. So the auto body shop actually advertised for the salon and said, hey, next time you guys come in, we have this special. The salon down the street, you can have 15% off. Rather than sitting in our waiting room, you can go get your nails done, get a discount, and that sort of thing. So we'll give you a discount here for coming in, and they'll give you a discount for going to their business there. But what I've found more and more is when I've asked shops that I've talked to more and more, they almost all have a runaround car. So little things like that can turn into more business, but then you also start cross-marketing where, like, if I advertise to my customer base for that nail salon or for that hair salon, it goes both ways. They can advertise for you, you can advertise for them, and you're actually opening up your customer base that way and actually advertising to a much larger population. Do you guys have any cool examples that you've come across with that, or?
I just love that idea, and I know my softball team when I was 6 years old was sponsored by the local emu ranch. I didn't even know what an emu was before that, but it was just really cool. And you're building recognition for your business because me and my family, we learned about what it was and what they did. But it's just a really cool thing to do. It's a really nice thing to associate yourself with. So I loved that idea, and then the runaround car, of course. Love to get my nails done in the middle of a car appointment. So.
All right, and I think that pushes us off to the next tip. That's going to be tip number 7.
Great. Okay, perfect. So tip number 7, educate and empower your customers. This one is really important and a lot of times overlooked. It's really important to educate your customers throughout the relationship. So before they even become your customer, why are they working with you? What makes you different from company B? Explain, what exactly their problem is or their need for the services and how you're actually solving that need. Tell them what you're doing, tell them how you're doing it, tell them why you're doing it. Just a little bit of information around what exactly you're doing puts your customer at ease and makes them feel really confident in their decision to work with you over another business. I know for me, I'm always nervous when I pick a new person to do my hair. Sometimes I'll go for the cheap option, do like super cuts. Other times, I'll spend a little.
Don't do that. It backfired once.
But I just appreciate when whoever's working with me, they're telling me what they're doing, because otherwise I don't know. I'm not an expert on hair and cutting hair. So if you're doing something weird in the back, just let me know what you're doing. So again, not only educating your customers before and reinforcing, the reason why they chose you over another company, but then even during the service, telling them what you're doing, why you're doing it, why it's helping them, and also saying, when they need to come back. So for a lot of people, they may just come back to get a haircut when their hair starts to look crazy. But really, recommended is usually around, 3 to 6 months, right? So instead of waiting for a year, by you educating them during the appointment itself, you're getting them to come in 2 times that year instead of 1 time that year, and you're doubling their lifetime value. So it's a really great thing to be able to educate not only before, but during the appointment as well. Now, education is not something that ends at the end of the service. So they leave your establishment and you just stop communicating with them? No. You want to continue to educate your customers. You want to educate them for the long term. You want to tell them, you know, when to come back and why they're coming back during the appointment. And then in that middle time, instead of kind of just losing contact with them, use that as an opportunity to continually engage with the customer when they're not physically in your place of business. So a great way to do this is with like a regular newsletter that you send out. You know, I know you mentioned newsletters. It's a great way to be educating your customers on a regular basis, just providing them with some general tips. You know, you're not asking them to book an appointment, you're not promoting anything, you're really just giving them a little bit of information and knowledge for their own benefit. And it's really appreciated when you get something like that. A really good example of this, you know, dentists do it really well. They've basically mastered the art of scaring people into getting their teeth cleaned every 6 months or they'll fall out, and trust me, I get terrified when I miss that 6-month mark because I'm like, what's going to happen? You know,
another cavity or two.
But you know, dentists do a great job of that, and they send that information out to their patients, and they say, you know, hey, come back. Like the risk of gum disease will instantly get someone to book that next cleaning appointment, right, and that next checkup, because you don't want to end up like that. You know, chiropractors, it's also a great opportunity. You know, somebody comes in for one adjustment and then leaves, and you don't see them again for a few months until they have that pain again. But really, a lot of, you know, chiropractic work is preventative. If you get those regular adjustments, and if you educate your customers on getting those regular adjustments, it prevents that future pain. A great example of a chiropractor that I spoke with, basically what he would do is he would reach out to his customers and educate them on the benefits of regular adjustments that reduce migraines. I was blown away because I didn't know that a chiropractor could help you with your migraines. It's just totally different places. But you know, the education helps, and all of a sudden you have customers that are struggling with one issue and realizing, like, oh, you know, I should have regular checkups instead of one every 6 months. So again, we're talking about increasing that lifetime value of that customer, getting them to come see you more often, and helping your business in the long run. So education is absolutely key. Anything to add, you guys? Please.
Okay, so
I think I came across a cool one. Oh, sorry.
Actually,
go ahead.
really quick, we're actually running a little behind time, so let's actually go ahead and move on to tip number 8.
Okay,
Great.
perfect,
Okay.
perfect.
If you have any other questions on education, feel free to shoot them our way. So perfect. So number 8, convenience is key. And now Anthony and Aliza both touched on this. You want to make things convenient for your customers because they're taking times out of their day many times to do something they don't want. Nobody wants to get, you know, a cavity filled. Nobody wants to come in and pay a bunch of money to get their car serviced, but they're doing it because they have to. So just try to make it convenient for them. You know, little things like greeting them when they get there is really nice, but also if you're able to, prepayment. You know, make their payment process easy and get that taken care of at the beginning of the appointment so that they can leave really easily when the appointment's done. Now, businesses that want to avoid this, absolutely, if you're asking for tips at the end, you know, so salons and things like that, if you're wanting a tip or you're wanting to sell products and upsell, maybe don't want to check them out at the beginning of the appointment, but otherwise it's definitely a very nice and convenient thing to do. Anthony also mentioned basic amenities like Wi-Fi and phone chargers. Those are really nice because, you know, especially if they're taking time off in the middle of their business day, having something like that available is just very, very sweet and convenient to offer your customers. And I think the biggest one, and I'm really going to put emphasis on this, is just reminding them of their appointment or when they need to book their upcoming appointment. So, you know, Demandforce has an automated system that we you know, help our clients set up reminders for their customers to remind them before their appointment to actually come in. And
they can do their appointment requests online 24/7. They don't have to call during business hours, which is not that convenient for people that work, you know, 8 hours a day, you know, 5 days a week.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks for adding that. Yeah, I love. That's also just another thing that you're making life more convenient for your customers. Maybe your customers don't pre-book their appointment, so reminding them when that appointment is coming up or when that due date is coming up. Maybe they need an oil change 3 months later. Sending them a reminder for that is a great thing to be able to do. Things like that are really good to be sending reminders for. And then finally, you know, for any company, any type of business that deals with health insurance or any sort of insurance, those benefits expire at a certain point, and it's pretty much around the same time. So being able to remind your customers that their insurance benefits are going to expire and then, you know, book an appointment before you lose this opportunity to use this benefit money, that's an awesome thing to do. And your customers, your patients' customers really appreciate that because otherwise, you know, they couldn't have gotten that free filling or that, you know, whatever it is. But really great thing to be able to do that. So convenience. Think about how you can make things more convenient for your customers and do it for them as much as possible. So next point, number 9, be authentic. I'm sorry, follow up with your customers. So number 9, follow up with your customers. Don't let that relationship with that customer, just like we said about educating them, don't let it end when they walk out the door. Then you're basically making it just about the individual transaction, when really when you work with a customer, you want it to be a longer relationship. You want them to come back. So make sure that there is some sort of follow-up. A really simple and quick way to follow up is with a thank you note. A lot of businesses have the time to handwrite thank you notes, which is extremely personal. People really appreciate something like that. It's just so nice to do. So that's a great thing. But if you don't have the time, there are systems that can help you automate that kind of thank you message and send it through an email. Demandforce does it. They do a great job of it, and you can also tie in a request for an online review or even a referral. So if you have that incredible referral incentive where you're going to donate money on behalf of your customer if they refer a friend, that's an awesome thing to be able to incorporate into that thank you message. So you're not only doing a nice thing and thanking your customer, but then you're also educating them on your referral program. So we're tying everything together. So perfect. So definitely follow up with your customer. Also keep in mind, Aliza gave you some great tips for social media. Another way to follow up is, your customers, especially if you do a great job cutting their hair, doing their nails, they got a great facial, you did some great body work on their car, they're going to post it. People post everything online. They're going to post pictures of it, and what you should do is you should like it and you should share it. Share your customers' content. If you're, having trouble coming up with what to put on your page that day, you want to post something because you want to be engaged, share something that your customer posted. If they left you a great review, quote their words and put it on your page and tag them in it, because then it's going to show off to all of their friends, right? And you're going to, multiply the audience by however much. It's a great opportunity to reach as many people as possible and to make your customers feel like VIPs by sharing their information.
And you can ask them to tag you. So when you go to a nail salon, I have friends that they'll post their nails this way or this way, but they'll take a picture of it. But if you tag the salon, if you ask them to tag you guys in it, then it'll show up and then you can repost it. So I think that's an easy way to so you guys can see it and then use that as a post yourself.
Great. Yeah. Aliza, anything else? And then we'll tie it up quickly with the last one.
No, you guys did great.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay, well, finally, we went through a lot of really great information, and, as much as possible for different businesses, you'll see what works for you and what you're able to use, the more cost-effective one or maybe something a little pricier. But there's a lot of different options to work with. At the end of the day, just keep in mind, tip number 10, be authentic. Whatever it is that you do, your business is an extension of yourself. Make sure that you're representing your own values, your own voice. Like Aliza said on social media, don't outsource your voice. Your customers can tell. They've been following you. They can hear you. They can tell if it's someone else. So just be authentic. Be yourself. Put your words out there, and your customers will really appreciate it. Be authentic.
Yeah, and I think that also you gotta know too that like when you're in the office, people are listening. So when you have office gossip, just keep it to a minimum, or just don't do it at all. Like if you talk on the phone and get off the phone and start hashing it out with other office staff about how that person was a jerk, or I can't believe she was wearing that when she came into the office. Yeah. Other customers can hear that, and it really gives a bad impression of the practice as a whole, and it may give a bad representation that may not really be you. Yeah. But just keeping that in mind, people around you can hear you and they know exactly what's going on in that situation. So don't pretend like they don't know what we're talking about, because they do. Yeah. They do, and they may think that you're talking about them as soon as they walk out, and that's just not the impression you want to leave on anybody.
Thank you.
So we'll tie it up there. Sorry about that.
Great. So do you guys have anything, any last thoughts or anything like that to add?
I feel pretty good with everything we went over.
Yeah.
Is there any good questions we could possibly answer while we're on the line here?
Sure. So really quick, these are the 10 unexpected ways to delight your customers. Just a quick summary here. We will also have a cheat sheet up in Generation Demandforce. I'll put up the link at the end of the session so that you guys can go ahead and check that out. I know there are a lot of tips today that were covered. And so let me actually bring us to our first question. Hang on. let's see here. So our first question is actually from a bed and breakfast owner. They're saying, we're learning all these tips about delighting people, but what's the connection between delighting people and having them give 5-star reviews? So, this customer, her name is Linda, and her husband try surprising their guests with treats and great service, but they don't always get those great reviews that they're looking for. So they're asking, what are some things that they can do?
Well, I think one thing that we do at Demandforce is we also tie in with the review a satisfaction survey, and it really gives a back end side of these things. And I think that if you can look at other areas and say, well, if this person, we did everything we could do, obviously there's something being missed there. So, I had a perfect experience. Why would I give it 2 or 3 star? A lot of times the satisfaction survey, with specific questions about, like, was it easy to make an appointment? Was I treated well? Was everything clean? Like, all those types of questions that you can get answered. And you could do, even in a bed and breakfast, you could leave a little comment card in the rooms, because I've filled those out in hotels quite a bit. Yeah. But little things like that might help you draw a connection between that person's experience and maybe something that they would write down and be more willing to do within a survey, but not really want to do in a review, or something like that.
I love that idea. I think you nailed it. Yeah.
What do you think, Aliza?
All right, so we're actually we'll move on to the next question. As a small business owner, we already have a lot to do throughout the day. How do you recommend integrating these tips into our daily schedule? Aliza, do you want to take this one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll start on social. So there's a few things. One is, I know because I get asked this all the time, is it before I take out the garbage at the end of the day, or is it before I take my lunch and I put my clothes for 15 minutes? To be honest, it is when it makes sense for you. So the one tip of 1 time a week, if it makes sense for you that it's at the last thing that you do at the end of the day or when you're inspired, that's when you do it. There really isn't a formula for that one. What I have seen works for most folks is when they're fresh. So like my gallery owner, they are always fresh on Tuesday because they're not open Sunday and Monday. So my retailer, they are most inspired on Saturday when they have the highest number of sales. And so they tend to take a picture of something that is super exciting, like a friend who's like modeling a dress they bought last week and absolutely loves it. So I always kind of say try to do it when you're at the high versus at the low, because that tone and voice actually comes through. So for social media, there isn't a time. I do know of one of my clients who she used to be a bookkeeper, and then she is now a spa owner. So she actually puts a reminder for herself, but she is more of a stickler like that because she is definitely appointment bound. So she definitely does it like during her lunch break, and it's a little ping that she posts something.
Yeah, I'd say even, and just to touch on that real quick, planning. I mean, I think if you don't plan, they have that saying, fail to plan, plan to fail. And I think it really does hold a lot of water. If you're trying to do like a summer special, don't wait till July to try to mass order like kids sunglasses. Plan ahead, plan for the next season, plan for the next month, plan for the next week, because I feel like you'll be able to organize your day and your week, kind of in that direction if you do those sorts of things. Don't wait till it's too late to do an invitation to something. I think giving yourself ample time and then planning ahead can help out quite a bit.
I love that, and the last thing that I'll add to this is focus on the quick wins. If you're limited for time, we mentioned a lot of things that are just really easy to do once, and then they're just available in there. So, Anthony mentioned like have free Wi-Fi and phone chargers available. That's one thing that you can put out there, and then it's ready to go. You can start sharing on social media like one day, and it'll go on for you for a couple days and have people interacting for the next few days. So little things like that you can just put a little bit of effort in the beginning, and they continue on. Having the cough drops or the roses, like you go pick them up one day and then they last for the next week. So like something like that, they're just quick and easy to have available for your customers, and like we said, quick wins. They're just really fast and easy.
Do you have any more, Jen?
Unfortunately. We're actually nearing the end of our time today. It's really sad to end the session. But if you guys have any more questions that you just thought of, or that are popping to your mind as you think over these tips and over what our experts are saying, definitely share them. I'm throwing up a slide right now with that link, or you can go ahead and tweet AskDF, and we'll make sure that one of our experts gets those answered. So go ahead and share your feedback today. We really hope that you guys learned a lot today from our experts. We hope that you guys had a good time. And remember, all these tips, these are totally doable. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars every year doing them. You don't need to hire an additional staff person. It's just, like Aliza said, finding those highs throughout your day that you can integrate these tips with. So I want to thank our experts today for spending their time with us, and I want to thank each of you for joining us for Ask Demandforce.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Had a good time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye
We'll see you
now.
next time.